Welcome to the Head Trash Show. My name is Alexia Leachman and I'm the founder of Head Trash, home to the new and unique head trash clearance method that removes unwanted negative thoughts, feelings and emotions quickly and effectively so that you can achieve clarity, confidence and contentment in your life. My goal with this podcast is to teach you how to create some headspace by helping you to unpick what's blocking you and sharing some tips and how-tos for clearing it. Tune in every week as I share simple strategies to help you to achieve confidence and clarity in your life and business. To find out how to clear your head trash quickly and effectively using our unique method, pop over to headtrash.com to get our free download and subscribe for our free head trash clearance updates. And now for the show. Hello and welcome to the first episode of the Head Trash Show. I thought I'd start the show with just giving you a little bit of background as to the mission and the story behind Head Trash, because I feel that would be a really good place to start and really sort of put in a little bit of context into why I'm doing this and what my story, the role of that plays into the whole Head Trash story too, because they are very, very closely linked. And so first of all, I think I just want to sort of touch on the mission that I have at Head Trash, and that's really to make the world a better place. And maybe there's a little bit of world peace in there, because I really do believe that if we all cleared our head trash, all those negative thoughts, feelings and those emotions that hold us back, that stop us from being awesome and happy, then if we all got rid of that stuff, then we would all have inner peace. And if we had inner peace, then there'll be less conflict, less aggression, less anger going on in the world on the outside. And so really, if we want to change the world, we do really have to start with ourselves. Just like Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world. And even Michael Jackson said it when he said, start with the man in the mirror. And so that's really what that's what I want to do with Head Trash, is to help everybody out there to start with the man in the mirror. And believe me, this is where I started. And if you were to go back 10 years in my life, where, back then I was in a very successful job, working as a brand marketeer, working with some of the big names, big brands in UK retail. And on the outside, I looked incredibly successful. I had, house, company car, attending glamorous events, all in the name of work. But I was incredibly stressed, let me tell you, I was incredibly stressed. And actually looking back, even though I looked so successful and happy and all that on the outside, I don't really think that I was happy on the inside, because, in your mid to late 20s, who's really happy anyway? We're still discovering who we are. So I think looking back, now I know better. But sure, at the time, I think I was pretty switched on and pretty sorted. At least everybody else seemed to think so. And so I think I must have done quite a good job at convincing everybody. But things changed very, very quickly for me when I was working one day, stressing over a packet of tweezers. My job was picking the new range and the new packaging for a new range of tweezers I was launching, and I was stressing over which green to put on the packaging. And it was that day, I remember it very well, when I found out that my mother's cancer, that she had breast cancer, when she had when I was 15, had come back. And I was fortunate to be sent over to France, which is where my family come from, to go to a conference, a beauty conference. And that's where my mother was staying at the time. And I ditched out the conference and I went over to see her, and we found out that the cancer had come back. And so we flew her home back to the UK very, very quickly. And in fact, yes, 7 weeks later she died. And those 7 weeks were some of the most painful and difficult weeks of my life, but also the most beautiful, and I will never want to change them. I would never want to. I'm enormously grateful for the experience that I had going through that, and I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for that. And I'm sorry for sounding a little bit emotional, but it was a very, very, it's because of that I'm where I am today. And when I lost her, it all happened so quickly and so suddenly that I really sank so quickly into a spiral of depression, a spiral of loss and confusion. And I didn't know which way to turn. I didn't know what had happened to me. And what I didn't realise at the time was that because we were so close, and my parents divorced when I was 4, so we were like best friends. And actually that's not a good thing for a mother to do with a daughter, is make her best friend, because actually we had a very close relationship that was much closer than it should have been. And there's a term for that in certain circles called enmeshment. And so when she was taken from me, it literally did create a huge void in my sense of self and my sense of identity. And so, I sort of suddenly out of nowhere had so much head trash, I did not know what to do with it. And I started seeking out all sorts of anything I could to try and reclaim that place, that sense of self and happiness that I had before all that started. I was confident, I was happy, I was successful, I knew what I was doing, I had a plan, I was going places, I was earning good money. And suddenly I didn't know what I wanted, I wasn't happy in my work, I didn't like it anymore, everything had gone, everything from my life had just... It was all black. It was all, I didn't know the answer. It was all horrific. And so this sort of really started the next stage of my journey, which was trying to sort this out. I really needed to sort this out. And as part of that recovery process, I was starting to explore everything. I was reading about the law of attraction. I started studying Reiki. I trained as a coach. And I was using coaching models to help me sort my head out. I mixed them up with some marketing models and some SWOT analysis to help me sort my head out. And I was making really, really good progress. But, there was still a lot of questions unanswered. I was still feeling incredibly lost and confused. And I still didn't have, I'd lost my mojo big style. And I was missing that driving force that was so familiar to me before my mother had died. And so I started really seeking out all sorts of, what would work, what would help me to get back to that place. And interestingly, at the time, I'd read Eat, Pray, Love, which had just come out. And the main character, or the woman that wrote the story, she went to India and spent a month in silence on an ashram. And I thought, that's what I need. I need to go and spend a month in silence and just deal with my demons. But I couldn't take a month off work like that. And by the time we travelled to India and all that, I just didn't have that kind of holiday. And I didn't want to do a normal travelling. I had the opportunity to just go, fancy dancing around the Greek islands or in Vietnam or wherever. And I just didn't want to go travelling on my own because I didn't want to be with me. And I knew when I didn't want to be with me, I knew when I was passing up the opportunity to go travelling that I really needed to sort this out. And so I came across something called Hoffman process, which is well worth Googling for those of you that really feel stuck and confused and in a place where it just all feels too much. And that for me was a real saviour. And it cleared a lot of my stuff, helped me to connect back to who I was again. And so I came out of that and I was feeling much, much stronger. And that gave me the strength to realise that the work I was doing in marketing, the career that I had was not me anymore. That is not what I wanted. And I realised also that, losing somebody so close to me at a young age, I was 31 when I lost my mother, that life is too short. And if you're not doing something that you enjoy, if you're not doing something that you're passionate about, then don't do it. You need to be doing something that you really believe in. And for me, I thought, if I don't start doing that now, if I get hit by a bus tomorrow, if I get cancer and die too in the next 5 years, which is very, very feasible, then I don't want to be dead, having been doing a career in marketing that I wasn't passionate about, that I didn't believe in, that I wasn't enjoying, because what's the point in doing that? So I quit. And yes, that wasn't a simple decision as it sounded. Having trained as a coach, I started coaching and I didn't know what the hell to do because I didn't have any answers, right? I didn't know anything. However, I decided to make my journey my work. And so my journey was finding who I was again and using marketing models and using marketing tools to help me with that and blending it with coaching. And that happened to be a really good... that happened to be what personal branding is. And so personal branding was a very, very popular thing 5 years ago, still is very common, and everyone is doing it these days. And so I became a personal brand coach. And as part of that, I started learning more techniques to help my clients with their mindset. So I realized that if you don't believe in your own vision for yourself, you don't believe what you're capable of, you don't believe in your own potential, then it doesn't matter what you want, what tactical marketing things you might be using to build your reputation. It doesn't matter because you are your own worst enemy in that situation. So I trained in things like neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, thought field therapy, TFT as well. And I came across a new technique called reflective repatterning. And I was told by a good friend of mine, and we were having lunch in a lovely little restaurant in London. And I remember that day really clearly because we were sitting hunched over a lasagna. And she's just said to me, Alexia, there's a course starting in a few months and you have to be on it. And the minute she said that, I just felt like a bolt out of the blue just hit me. And I knew that I had to be on that course. It was one of those moments in your life where you just know that this is part of your life and your destiny. And so I was on the course, and I was very fortunate to be one of the first people to learn reflective repatterning with the founder, Christopher Milbank, who is an utter genius. And what he has created in reflective repatterning was the final piece for me, the bit that made all the difference. So having worked so hard for many years, trying to sort my head out and trying to get back to a place of happiness and contentment and peace, that reflective repatterning was the final piece in the jigsaw that was finally clearing up all the little bits that hadn't been dealt with by anything else. And as I was using it with my clients, I was observing that they were really noticing massive shifts as well. And I thought, you know what, this is amazing. This technique is amazing. And so I really was very fortunate to be able to work very closely with the founder, Christopher Milbank, and we developed some trainings, and we've been training people for the last few years together to try and get reflective repatterning out there. And so that's really what sort of created the Head Trash brand, because when I was first using reflective repatterning on myself, the way that I expressed it to myself, the way I described to other people, is that I really felt that it just cleared your head trash. It's sort of something that was there, that was bothering you, that was negative, a negative emotion, something that was keeping you up at night, whatever you want to describe, that negative state that's going on in your mind. It literally cleared it. It just, it's just like rubbing it out. It just dissolved. 1 minute it was there, then you worked with reflective repatterning, and then it was gone. So, whereas NLP, it's a lot more. There's a lot more to it in terms of you're trying to create another state that might not be necessarily your core state or who you really are. Whereas reflective repatterning literally just got rid of all that negative interference that is in the way of you being your most awesome self. And so I started selling head trash clearance sessions to my personal branding clients, and there was a lot more people that wanted the head trash stuff than the personal branding stuff. And I quickly realised that actually, as long as you've got a load of head trash, you don't give two hoots about your personal brand because it's too noisy in your head. You can't sleep at night. You can't connect to who you are because you have all this noise. And so actually the first part of the journey in building your reputation and building your brand and expressing your brand is to clear your head trash, because until you've done that, you're not really clear on who you are and what makes you you. And so I created a separate online home for head trash because I noticed that I needed to really speak with. There was different people I was attracting. There was a different language that I was taking part, that I was using in my web copy, and I really needed to create its own online home. And so that was where it came from. And then when I partnered up with the founder of Reflective Repatterning, and we started training together. And so that's where it came from. But one thing I observed is that actually by blending reflective repatterning with some of the other things that have really worked well for me in the past, is where I could really start creating something that is, blending everything that I've ever learned together in a very succinct, powerful way. Because let's not forget, I used to work in business, I used to work in marketing, and I like steps, I like things to be quick, I like things to be efficient and effective. And I don't have time to be sitting around, wallowing around, talking about stuff. I just want to get it done. So for me, if I want to clear head trash, I want to know that this is the problem, this is how we fix it, this is how long it's going to take, and this is the result you're going to get. And so I've taken that outlook and that approach and sort of really blended it with everything I've learned to create something that does offer that very clear, simple way of working with people that means that you can create really big differences in how people feel about themselves and literally clear the head trash. So that's kind of where the head trash, that's where it's all come from. And one thing I noticed on my own journey was that, when I was looking for somewhere to go and the solution to help me with my own head trash, I never for once considered going to therapy, because in my mind, I wasn't the kind of person that needed therapy. In my head, therapy is for people who have, they might be contemplating suicide, or they might be going through a terrible traumatic breakup, a marriage breakdown or something like that. And I never really considered that might be something for me. And yet it was, but it wasn't being communicated to me in that way. And so really, with my marketing hat on, you could say that actually therapy needs a bit of a rebrand. Their reputation, they're probably losing customers because a lot of people don't think that it's for them. And that's another thing I want to achieve with Head Trash, is to invite people to change and to address that stuff that's holding them back, that's preventing them from being happy, that aren't being helped by therapy, but to say, hey, you know what, there's this other thing that you can do that actually does clear it. And if you want, you can just clear your head trash in your lunch hour. You can just take a quiet moment, take 20 minutes out from whatever's getting you down in your day, clear it, and then go back to what you were doing, free of that stuff that's winding you up, that's annoying you, that's stressing you, that's stopping you from being happy or present in the moment. And now that really is possible. And so that's what's different. That's what's different about what we're offering here with Head Trash, is that now you really can clear it and move on. Just like the trash at home, you just have a clear out, you get rid of it, but you know what? Trash builds up, just as our own head trash builds up. And, you just have to, as long as you've got the right tools for clearing it out, you can start really creating some headspace and reclaiming that sense of peace and contentment that means that, maybe one day we could get to having world peace. And so that kind of brings me a little bit back to the mission, I guess. And so one thing I've realised very quickly with the Head Trash work that I'm doing is I'm not going to have a big impact by having lots of one-to-one clients. So I very quickly decided that I was going to create products. I was going to make it easy for people to learn this, I came up with a very simple version that people could do with themselves at home, remember it very simply, and if they needed extra help, they've got the products to help them. But more importantly, I can't, if there's certainly room for many people out there to have clients and help them with their head trash. So for me, the main important thing is to train other people in this technique, to train other people to learn how I've blended everything to have that kind of impact with people. And so I've come up with some training courses, and also so we have the products, we have the training courses, and also the download on the homepage, which means you can actually do this yourself in your own time without anybody else. You are totally and utterly empowered to clear your own stuff. So that's what the Head Trash, that's what we're all about here at Head Trash. It's about empowering you to really own your stuff, get rid of it, and start being awesome. So I hope that gives you a really good understanding of where I'm coming from and what you can expect from this show. And so what I'm going to be doing over the up and coming episodes is helping you to unpick what's going on in your head, because that's one thing I get called a lot by my clients for, is they now they've got the technique, they can get on with it and clear it, but the bit they really struggle with is unpicking. It's understanding what on earth is going on in their head so they can actually clear it. And so it's really untangling that. So one thing I'm going to be doing with this show is helping you to untangle what's going on in your head, and then giving you some simple how-tos and how to tackle it, so that you can start clearing your head trash and finding contentment, clarity and confidence, so that you can be as awesome as can be, and that you can go on to change the world in the way that I'd like to. So on that note, hopefully you'll join me in future episodes, and if you want to get involved, then please do come to the website and download the free guide, because that's really the beginning of this. If you want to start learning the technique, I'll be talking more about that over future episodes as well, but do come to the website and download the free guide from the homepage. And that's it for today. So thank you very much for sticking with me today, and hopefully you'll join me next time. Until then, bye. You've just been listening to Alexia Leachman here on The Head Trash Show. If you enjoyed the show, I'd really appreciate you leaving a review here on iTunes. And don't forget to pop over to headtrash.com to get your copy of our free 5 Steps to Clearing Head Trash guide. Now stay tuned for upcoming episodes and more tips and how-tos for clearing your head trash and reclaiming your headspace. Until next time, bye for now.